look different, but inside we're all the same. We're all spiritual beings.
When I saw you guest starring on Scandal, I was really, really impressed with the character, the storyline, representing the LGBTQ community and helping the public realize that there are elderly people that are also in that community who
Right,
have gone through horrific discrimination in the past. In the storyline that you were in, you had a relationship with one of Olivia's neighbors, and you had kept it a secret for so many years because it was unacceptable. And I just
right.
thought it was very, very beautifully acted and well written.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Tell me what inspired you to portray that role.
Well, I won the part. I auditioned and I won it, and I know people like that. We all do.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first moved into Los Angeles, my sister lived in an apartment of her friend's home, and there was a couple downstairs in that home. They'd been together for years,
Yes.
so it's just a natural thing.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you're my child, I love who you love. I don't care whether she, he. I love you. I love who you love.
Well, I also thought it was important because in the Black community, generally speaking, there has been a stigma connected to homosexuality. And for me, this kind of normalized the fact that this is an experience that we all go through, regardless of your race, regardless of your religious orientation, or even if you don't believe in God. This is just a part of human existence that's happened since the beginning of time.
Absolutely. Well, we tend to imitate everything that someone else does.
Yes.
Social media says we tend to take that on, and we tend to act like we're against the gays
Mm-hmm.
because the media is saying, or currently, that's the trend. We're not thinking for ourselves.
Yes.
If we're being racist, we're being racist because they were racist. That doesn't make sense.
Right, right. So very true. Well, one of my favorite teachers, Jane Elliott,
Uh-huh.
I saw her initially on Oprah talking about the blue-eyed, brown-eyed test and how she would take a group of students and separate them by their eye color and treat one group really well and treat the other group really badly so that they had an idea of what it was like to be discriminated against for something that you have no control over. And she said to a group of white people, she said, for those of you who would be Black, if you could choose to be Black, stand up. And none of them stood up. And she said, you know why you didn't stand up? Because you know you would be treated differently. And sometimes I think that if people could think like that for a moment, would you choose to be a person in that group? And if you're not choosing that, why? And is there something you can do to make that particular group feel more inclusive because they're just like you?
Right. There are some people who do that. We had the Underground Railroad, which would not have been successful if we didn't have people on the other side who knew that and felt that. Life is about truth also. And
Yes.
none of the things we're talking about is truth. Like defund the police, get rid of the police. You're mad at the police because of what some individuals did.
Mm-hmm.
All of one group is not the same, just like we were not all the same. We're not all
Right.
criminals and we're not all bad, but
Right.
there are some we must admit that are in our race. And the same thing in the white race, in the Asian race, whatever.
Right.
So I get letters from the police department too, because now they're killing police, which
Right.
we never thought would happen. And they're talking about defunding the police. Well, I don't think we should defund the police. I think they should be paid for their work just like we are. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we should end the police department because anytime anything happens to you, what's the first thing you say? Call the police. Police,
Right.
help. You won't be able to say that. And a lot of people can't do anything else.
Well, my understanding is that defund the police originally really meant demilitarize the police, because we were getting stories that equipment that had been used in Iraq was being sent to the United States and distributed to these police departments. So when you had people protesting, even before it became a riot, these people were showing up with shields, and sometimes I've seen video of like armored tanks driving down residential streets. This is what I believe is really meant behind defund the police, because obviously we do need their protection. Unfortunately, even though the saying is protect and serve, they are not obligated to do so if they feel their life is threatened, which is what they have used as an excuse
That's what
repeatedly.
they say, but that's not true. If you got a gun and I don't have one, how is your life threatened? You know,
Of course.
we got to start dealing with truth. So I wrote a letter to them recently saying, what I want to hear you say is that you've made some mistakes
Hmm.
and that you're willing to change your ways.
Yes.
And the same with us. Every group does this, which is the problem. If you're in school, the teachers are always right, no matter what they see do to a student. They blame the student, not the teacher.
Right.
And the students blame the teacher when they know the student was out of line. So
Right.
each group should go for what is true, not who looks like them or who's in a group with them. And the police do the same thing. They're blaming Black Lives Matter. Well, Black Lives Matter is said because they never have mattered.
Right.
Every life matters. We know that.
Right.
You know, police lives matter, white lives matter, everybody's life matters.
Well, I had an opportunity to develop a relationship with George Floyd's uncle after he had been killed. I'm a singer, and my sister and I did a version of a Pink Floyd song called Wish You Were Here. And I did it with a Black Lives Matter theme, because at the time, people all over the world were protesting his murder. And I was very moved to give another color to this story. And in it, basically, it starts out with the beginning of life in Africa, going through kingdoms and dynasties, then to enslavement, then emancipation, and the beginning of the slave catchers. And that's where the police departments in this country developed their approach to policing. And you can see with the date, which I put in the video, of when these police departments started. They were in the 1860s, after the end of slavery. So when we talk about, because I saw you in an interview questioning, how did we get into private prisons? My father made me aware of the time when we were chasing after Bill Clinton because he was messing around with Monica Lewinsky. That is when they passed the legislation to make it legal to privatize the prison industry. And we weren't paying attention to that because they were distracting us with this little shiny thing called Bill Lied. So that's how that happened. And as a result, as we've all observed, prisons are staying full because it's economical for them. The people that invest in them, they're shareholders, they want to make that money. So how do you do that? You get your hip hop, and you get those people to glorify the gangster life. You show the average person, oh, well, you pursue this gangster life, you're going to have all the girls, you're going to have the drugs, you're going to have the parties, you're going to have the cars. And then people think, oh, okay, well, that's what I should pursue. Then what happens? They go to prison or they die. And now we have a community of people that are basically not going anywhere productive, and giving them the idea that, oh, well, if you go to college, if you pursue an education, that's not cool. You're trying to be white. No, I'm trying to be educated and I want to have a productive life. Like my son said to me at 14, Mom, I don't want to be a rapper. I don't want to go to jail. And he's a computer programmer.
Right. We follow trends so much. Now, when I was in Detroit, the young Black men used to call the cops pigs.
Yes.
So the police department invited police officers from the South because they figured they knew how to handle them. So it became, you got a gang, we got a gang. Our gang is better than your gang, which is stupid.
Right.
But that's what's been going on. You think you bad, so then we got to show you you're not bad, you know.
Right. Well, as we discussed with George Floyd's uncle, Solon Jones, the issue of qualified immunity is the problem. Qualified immunity allows policemen to kill civilians and not have to pay for it in terms of having to face criminal charges. And it's in extreme situations like George Floyd's murder, where we actually witnessed it on tape and there's no denying it, and people were testifying
That's
honestly
what I'm
about what
saying.
happened. That Chauvin has been convicted, and his partners as well. However, they wouldn't pass that George Floyd Justice and Policing Act because of the qualified immunity. They ended up stripping that out of the proposal, and it still didn't pass. They want to protect the police so that they can do whatever they want, and we just can't have that.
No, that's what my letter was about. It's
Yes.
about the truth. You should not protect people in your organization or your group if they're not correct.
Mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm.
got to teach them to be correct because it reflects on everything. And,
Well,
and what I hate is every time we march, we have a few that want to go out and loot. They want to tear up the stores and steal. And
right,
I think we should stop them.
right.
We should stop them. If you're gonna march with us, march. If you're not marching, stay home.